Aloha and welcome to Wind in Her Hair. I'm Anna, your host, and today's episode is all about purpose. If you haven't found your purpose, then this is going to help you head towards discovering what your purpose is and understand the cost of living without your purpose and pain, controlling your mind in order to stay in your purpose, and how purpose prepares you for what's next. And so, buckle up, buttercup. I love saying that. I think it's going to be my phrase. Get wind in your hair and buckle up, buttercup. Let's dive into this. There will be a worksheet at the bottom in the show notes for anyone who likes to geek out on this sort of thing and wants to take it seriously and level up. That's what I'm here for, to help you raise the bar, to shake you up, to realize if you're drifting, you've got to stop. It's time to wake up and to start living fully. So I've got my notes in front of me, and let's start with this. You cannot win in life if you cannot control your mind. This was a huge epiphany for me that I learned way too late in life. And I tell you, if I had learned to control my mind and go by the plan and not by my mood, my life would be so much different. I would be so far ahead. So I'm just saying, for you youngins out there, learn to control your mind, to not go by your feelings and your emotions, but to go by discipline and your strategy and your plan. So let me say that again. You can't win in life if you can't control your mind, if you're led by your emotions, because our emotions change almost every hour. You've got to have a strategy. You've got to be disciplined. So I'm going to share a quick little story about what happens when you don't learn to control your mind. So I've been a very free-spirited little gypsy my whole life, and I can be a very emotional woman. Many women are quite emotional, but men can also be. And so I spent the majority of my life just going by my feelings, and I did not have a buffer. So a space between the trigger and the reaction. It was just react, from 0 to 60. And I got myself into a lot of trouble because I'm very opinionated, strong-willed. I had to really work on my filter. And so because I think I have really good ideas and I'm very opinionated, that has not served me. And that's something that I've had to work through my entire life. And it's my personality. I'm an 8 on the Enneagram for any of you Enneagrammers out there. And so that means I'm a challenger and I'm a leader. I pave the way for people, but have needed to work on my presentation 100%. And so because I went by my feelings and my emotions and I did not learn to control my mind, I ended up getting distracted by unhealthy relationships and then getting into relationships that basically I wasted a whole lot of time trying to attach myself to somebody who I thought had a purpose. And if I had learned to control my mind and not go by my feelings, I would have stayed out of a lot more trouble. That's why I'm here now, to share my mistakes with you so you don't have to make the same mistakes. The theme is purpose, and that purpose isn't a passion or a paycheck. It's obedience to your calling. Everybody has a purpose. Everybody has gifts and talents that God has given them. Whether you believe in God or not, you don't have to. This is a universal thing that humans were created for a purpose and to ideally add value to other people's lives. Because if you just serve yourself and you think this world is just about you and your needs and your desires and what makes you happy, you're going to live a very empty, shallow existence. So let's dive into what is purpose. To define it simply, it's knowing why you wake up every day and who you're doing it for. So your purpose could be to be a mother. You know that you're a mother, you're going to be the best mother, and you know you're waking up every day to take care of and raise those children. Your purpose could be to be a wife or a husband, and you know you're waking up every day to protect and to serve and love your spouse. But we could take that a step further. What other purpose do you have in your life as far as a calling? Most people at one time or another are parents in their lives. But for me, when I was a first-time parent, I thought that this was my calling. This was my purpose. It didn't go beyond that until I realized later, aside from that, there was another purpose that God had in my life. And different random people throughout my life since I was little have told me I see the gift of teaching and speaking in your life, little one. And so I've always had that in the back of my mind. Was not into personal growth. I didn't have a mentor or a life coach. And so I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was just trying to survive. I became a model when I was 18. I moved to New York, then Europe, gallivanted all over Europe, modeling and driving around in Lamborghinis. And I was just going by my emotions and what felt good and just living it up. And I didn't know anything about discipline or consistency. Going back to being a mother, I was so consumed with my toxic marriage and the addiction that was involved as far as like drinking and stuff that I just thought, okay, I'm a mom. I just need to get through this. And I was a homeschooling mother, which I loved. But it wasn't until later that God started to really bring to the surface this calling on my life, which was to teach and to speak. And I was to use all of the pain and all of the experiences I had as my platform to add value to people's lives. And so it's super interesting how God can use the most painful bits of your life to be your purpose and to be your calling. God designed you with a purpose long before you had a plan. And that's what I was saying about random people throughout my life would tell me that they saw this calling on my life, but it didn't actually give birth until quite recently when I started to control my mind and to learn to be disciplined and consistent, and really when God got my full attention. So, the difference between passion and purpose is that passion is really about a feeling and purpose is really about a fulfillment. I love this quote that says, your passion is what lights you up, but your purpose is what lights other people up. And luckily, my passion is learning and growing and helping others do the same. And that's also my purpose. I like this quote that says passion fades but purpose sustains. So I'm curious where you are in your life right now. Do you know what your passion is and your purpose? Do they blend together? I'm not saying they have to, but it would definitely be ideal. Let's talk about the cost of living without your purpose. When you're not living your purpose, three kind of dangerous things happen to you. And I say dangerous because they really are dangerous. Number one is drifting. It is so dangerous to be drifting because it shows how far you have come from your potential. And things that get us to drift are TV. You might think I'm crazy, but it's a distraction of the enemy to get you to be complacent and to drift and to not live in your purpose because TV consumes so much of people's time and it's a complete waste. I mean, I wish somebody could point out a really good reason to me why they should watch TV. A lot of people don't have interesting lives. They're boring. They don't have passions. They don't have hobbies. And so their default is to go to work and come home with the free time and just sit on their asses and watch TV instead of living their life and cultivating their hobbies and relationships. They just wanna sit and watch other people live their lives, which is wild to me. I did grow up watching cartoons, but I also had horses, so I was obsessed with horses, still am. I was outside every single day from 6 years old until 18 riding horses. So, I was blessed enough to grow up in Hawaii and California, so it was amazing weather. I did have an amazing opportunity to choose something other than TV. That's what happens when you're drifting. You don't have a purpose. You don't know what you're doing. You probably have a really monotonous job that you hate, but you feel stuck in it, but you're not. Just so you know, you're not a tree. You can move. And the cost of living without purpose is distraction. You get distracted by other things so easily. Other people come into your life. And when you don't have a purpose, when you're not connected and rooted in your purpose, you are easily distracted and moved and swayed by things. And I know that for myself, it wasn't until the last year when I was so rooted in my purpose and all these distractions came my way, especially during my season of isolation. And I saw for the first time so clearly that they were distractions. It wasn't just, "Oh, this is a nice guy wanting to take me on a date," or, "This is a great band that's inviting me to listen to them," or, it's just a glass of wine here or a bottle of wine there. Those were all distractions that were pulling me away from my purpose, and when you're walking in your purpose, you have to be disciplined and you have to be consistent, and those are the 2 gifts that I was missing, and so when you're not in your purpose, you're easily distracted. It's because you're not disciplined and you're not consistent. And also, the other dangerous thing is emotional instability. You are easily moved by other people's emotions. I would allow my boyfriend's or my ex husband's or my children's behavior and moods to dictate mine. And the opposite of that is when you can stand firm in your standards and your purpose and your values and not let other people's behavior dictate yours. You can say you can go have a fit if you want, but I'm not going to. And to be able to be emotionally stable and emotionally regulated is a gift that you have to cultivate in your life. You're not born with it. You have to practice every day to bite your tongue, to take a deep breath, to pause, to put yourself in timeout, to walk away, to use your I statements. This takes practice every single day, or you will never get there. And someone like me, who has been very opinionated and strong willed, it's taken a long time for me, especially with my teenagers, to just say, hey, I need some time right now to process this. I know that I'm triggered and I don't want to say anything I'm going to regret. So I need a little bit of time, but I want to come back to this in a little while and talk it through with you. That is huge for me. And now it's second nature for me to do that. I don't remember the last time I got angry or yelled, which was a huge blessing because my personality, my Enneagram, when we're triggered, we get angry. I don't deal with anxiety or guilt or shame. I deal with anger. And so it's taken a lot of practice for me to get to the point where I can regulate my emotions. And so going back to the cost of living without purpose, how not having purpose can lead to chasing other relationships, chasing validation, and quick highs. And that's exactly what happens because when you know what your purpose is and you know what your goals are today, this week, this month, this year, you have a strategy. Maybe you even have the team who's helping you reach these goals. You are not interested in anything pulling you away from that. No relationships, no validation, no quick highs. A quick high could be alcohol, sex, drugs, money, anything that gives you that dopamine rush where you say, you know what? I don't need that stuff anymore because I have such a big why as to why I'm walking in my purpose and whose lives I'm impacting. That is so much more important than these quick highs, this validation from the world through social media, through men for me, or relationships. And it's such an amazing place when you can get to a time in your life where you could say, I don't need a relationship anymore. I am so completely content on my own. It's so empowering. It's so peaceful. And I'm not saying I never want to be in a relationship, but my goal right now is my purpose. And as I'm in my purpose, that's preparing me for the next season of my life and the next person in my life. When you don't know your purpose, you'll attach yourself to people who do without even thinking about it. I did that in my marriage. I was a single mom, totally wandering aimlessly through life, got married, and then I realized too, I attached myself to a man in my relationship after that who did have purpose in his life. And it's so attractive when you find somebody who has purpose. And I didn't have purpose and I attached to him. And it was one of the best things that ever happened to me because a lot of good came out of that relationship. And I did a lot of healing and growth. And because he believed in me and he challenged me, I leveled up. But at the same time, I saw how God brought him out of my life to really deepen my purpose. And boy, did he ever. I went through a season of isolation, which was in one of my most previous podcast episodes. I think it's 14, The Gift of Isolation. If you are in a period of aloneness right now, go listen to that podcast episode. And even if you haven't, go listen to it because you most likely will enter a season of aloneness or isolation. And you can respond to it in one of two ways. You can buck and avoid it and run from it and try to escape it and not understand what's happening and you'll miss the blessing. Or you can embrace it and you can realize this is a special time ordained for me that's going to help you prepare for the next season. It's a time of preparation. So do not try and resist it. If you don't know your purpose, you will attach yourself to people who do. And the last thing I want to say about that is because of that season of isolation, I was forced to really learn to be consistent and to be disciplined. And God pulled away all the distractions out of my life. And it got me to a place where I said, okay, I know it's confirmed without a doubt what my purpose is. He has revealed it to me here in Nashville, specifically through his word and through his voice and through other people's encouragement. Let's talk about purpose and pain. I love this because a lot of people don't realize that their pain can become their purpose and that pain can be beautiful. I love the verse that says Romans 8:28 that all things happen for the good to those who love God, to those who are called according to his purpose. You can take that pain and you can feel sorry for yourself and you can keep ruminating over it for the next decade, like I've done in the past. Or you could understand it happened and let's move on. Leave it in the past, but take the lessons, take the growth, take the healing, take the epiphanies, all of the beautiful golden little nuggets, and apply it to your life so that you can become the best version of yourself and you can turn around and you can help others in the same situation. You could reach out your hand and say, hey, I've been there. Let me take you on this journey of healing or whatever your purpose is. So God often hides your purpose in your pain. And it's such a wild thing to think about. I was not healthy emotionally, mentally, spiritually when I was about 29. I was a single mom. My child was about 3. I met my ex-husband. I had been put up on stage at my church to repent of having a child out of wedlock. Now, you might just gasp at that. It was a non-denominational Christian church. I found out later the pastor did it to a few other women, but having a baby is not bad. Growing up in a conservative Christian church, having a baby out of wedlock is considered frowned upon. And so the pastor thought it was best if I got up on stage and repented in front of the whole church so they all know I'm not this wild little whore. I was safe to come back to church. Why did I want to go back to church? That church specifically, I don't know. So that affected me mentally, emotionally. And then I had my baby and I felt really shitty about myself because I felt bad. And these were all subconscious limiting beliefs that were on autoplay in my head, in my mind for years. And that is what drove my decisions. So eventually I marry somebody who did not value me and I saw the red flags. I felt it in my gut, but I did it anyway because I believed that was as good as it was going to get. So I got married and really dove into being a mother. We had more children. But the point is, during that whole season of being married to somebody who won't stop drinking, drinking ruins your marriage. And the whole time you're just crying out to God, where the hell are you? What is happening? I just want a good marriage. I just want a connection with my husband. I just want to have good sex. Like I just want to go on a vacation with my family and laugh and have good memories. Well, none of that was happening. I literally wanted to just shrivel up and die more than once. And so I look back now and I look at that whole painful season. And honestly, I can finally say that I don't regret it. Aside from that, I have 3 beautiful kids. But God has taken that pain and he's turned it into my purpose. And so I want to encourage you, what pain are you trying to suppress or ignore? Or what pain do you regret that really is meant to be your purpose? And I'm telling you right now, if you're holding on to unforgiveness, or hatred or bitterness or resentment towards anything in the past, you are wasting your freaking time. And the only person that's affecting is you, not the other person. That's them having power over you. So the best thing you can do, and what the crux of personal growth is, letting shit go. Just let it go. And I promise you, letting it go doesn't mean that it was okay what they did to you. But letting it go means that you can finally have peace in your life. You can finally move on at a faster rate where you're becoming more productive. You're moving the needle. You're impacting people's lives because you're letting it go. Trust me, I've been betrayed by my sisters and my ex-husband, and I've been hurt, betrayed by the church, all sorts of stuff. But I've chosen to let it go. And when I did, I was like, dang, Anna, why did that freaking take you so long? I wasted a lot of time being angry and hurt and feeling sorry for myself. Going back to the purpose and the pain, which leads me to the heartbreak, the loss, and the waiting seasons of pain. They're all preparation because we cannot level up in plenty and comfort. We cannot learn these lessons when we're sailing along smoothly. It's the hard times that cultivate character in your life. You can't become a better version of yourself when everything is going perfectly. So I personally don't pray for an easier life. I pray to be a stronger person. And I'm like, Lord, bring it on. What do I need to learn next? What do I need to let go of? What blocks are in my life? Let's do this. I'm ready for the next thing. We worked on X, Y, and Z last week. I need some more homework. I need some action steps, God. And so he's like, okay. And that only happens though when you really sit and you can learn to be silent and listen. And trust me, I struggle with that. So all the heartbreak, all the loss, all the waiting for your person, I know you're probably waiting. It's all preparation. I'm telling you right now, I just did a post recently. Your person is not behind. They're just waiting for you to become ready. And I've come to that conclusion as God continues to dig into my life and teach me, and as I continue to listen. If you don't have your person, it's because you're not ready. And He's preparing them at the same time. So freaking get ready already. Stop wasting your time. Stop watching TV. Again, I'm going to harp on TV all the time because it is literally of the devil, because it's a time waster. And you're not investing in other people's life, you're not investing in yours. You're literally throwing time into the trash when you can be doing so many other things physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, relationally, financially, you name it. TV is a tactic of the enemy to keep you drifting and complacent and unproductive. Period. Do not be duped. If you're not a religious person, I'm so glad that you're here. I don't care if you're religious or not. Like, I just want you to be here and be with me, and I want to share another perspective with you. So there's lots of stories in the Bible, but this one you're probably familiar with is the story of Joseph. Remember Joseph and his coat of many colors? And anyhow, his brothers sold him into slavery. He went to Egypt. He was in prison for years, and then he became basically Pharaoh over Egypt. Well, this is such a wild story. I read this recently. I've read it multiple times, but this time it really jumped out at me. He's in prison, and in prison, he still continues to live in his purpose. He doesn't go to the basement and feel sorry for himself and agonize over that he was innocent and how is he going to get out of prison. He made the most of it. He literally earned favor with the guards, and the guards put him in charge of the other prisoners. So he's down there making the most of time, not watching TV, and he's cultivating his character in the hardest time of his life. And then before you know it, the next day, he's a dream interpreter and he gets sent up to Pharaoh and he gets released. And all of a sudden, he earns favor with Pharaoh and he becomes basically the king over Egypt. So he went from literally being a shepherd to going to prison to becoming a king. And the other story about Moses wandering through the wilderness, he grew up in the palace, everything you could possibly want, but then ran to the desert and lived years and years in the desert. That was God's preparation time. And then God used him to free the Israelites and take them through the Red Sea and all that stuff. Every time God wants to do something big with your life, He's going to take you through a season of isolation first so He can prepare you and build character in your life. So if you have not gone through a season of isolation, I pity you. I'm winking my eye for those who are listening to this. And I'm so excited for that season to come your way. Trust me. And your purpose is not always going to feel good, but it will always grow you. Your purpose is going to take discipline and consistency, the two keys to success. So let's talk about the next part, controlling your mind to stay in your purpose. If you can't control your mind, you're not going to win at life. You're going to be behind, you're going to lose out, you're going to waste time, and you're going to be in relationships that you're not aligned with. It's about you can't win if you can't control your mind at all. Because if you go by your emotions, you are going to not stick to the plan. And if you don't stick to the plan and be consistent and disciplined, you're going to lose out on blessings. Purpose requires mental discipline, and feelings lie to us, but purpose doesn't. The purpose is, Anna, you are supposed to take your pain and teach it and share it with other people to impact their lives and help them get unstuck and heal from toxic relationships. That's the plan. That's the purpose. Your feelings are going to lie to you, but your purpose will not. The most underrated skill is being able to not go by your mood and go by the plan. Are you easily swayed by your emotions and your feelings? And discipline is choosing your goals over your feelings. I love this, my favorite quote. I will probably use this in every single episode, but discipline is choosing between what you want now and what you want most. What you want now is usually instant gratification, temporary, feel good dopamine hit. What you want most are your goals that are the desires of your heart. What you want most is to be in an aligned relationship, not entertain this shallow affection of this guy who just hit you up on Instagram. What you want most is to scale your business and not watch TV because you're bored and you're burnt out. So you've got to think maybe what you want now is to snap at your child, but what you want most is to have a good relationship where they feel safe. And I love this quote that says, you need to connect before you correct. Think about what you want most are the important, long lasting, healthy things. What you want now usually are not. The next section, purpose prepares you for what's next. You're not waiting on your next season or your next person. You're not waiting. You're not sitting here twiddling your fingers, wondering what's happening. You're being prepared. But you've got to have that mindset of preparation, knowing you're not wasting your time. This is not idle time. You are being prepared. Every single day, there's going to be people and opportunities that come into your life that are going to test you. And you have to decide with your wisdom, is this going to be a time waster or is this going to be something that's going to cultivate my purpose and move the needle? And you can't go by your feelings because it might feel great in the beginning. Oh, but is it aligned with my standards and my values? And isolation, discipline, and consistency build the character to sustain those blessings. Consistency and discipline, that is something that I deal with every single day in order to stay walking in my purpose and to eliminate the distractions. And I'll tell you that season in Nashville, I had so many distractions that God just plucked out of my life one after the next. I was like, okay, God, you've taken everything from me. What more do you freaking want? He's like, "Oh, just one more thing, this." Okay, totally forgot about that. Okay, all right, that's fine. Do what you need to do. You know best. And the more you walk in your purpose, the less you will settle for those distractions because you become so on mission, so motivated, determined, and devoted to the goal, to the plan ahead. Wild horses can't drag you from it. When I was in that season in Nashville, all I could think about was just getting with my kids. That was the goal, scaling my business, getting with my kids. And guys would ask me out, opportunities, concerts, this, that, and the other, pickleball. And I just said, no, my focus, all my energy is going into my business and my children, period. I am no longer distracted by validation or attention or even live music, which I love, or even pickleball, which I love. So let's close with this. Purpose gives pain meaning. Or another way to say that is purpose gives meaning to your pain. And discipline protects your destiny. So if you're not disciplined, that means you're going to go by how you feel. You're going to go by your mood. That is not discipline. That is not sticking to the plan. That's not controlling your mind. That's not walking in your purpose. You are made for something eternal, not something temporary. You are here for a purpose and on purpose. And I want to encourage you to pursue what God has for you if you don't know already. And I want you to ask, are you living in your purpose right now? Or are you just surviving? I want to close with this. God, I pray for everybody who listened to this podcast, Lord, that you would bless them, that you would reveal their purpose to them if they don't know it already, that you'd give them wisdom from above and vision and direction and guidance, Lord. I pray for your comfort and your blessing upon them right now in the name of Jesus. Amen. So thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you next week.